Hi, I'm Ron.
And I'm Don.
And this is the Ron and Don Show. In our last episode, we explored bar issues. Today, we're going to look at some bar solutions.
Workable solutions that are probably something that you will want to work with as astute facilities managers really involve pretty heavily standing water behind the bar. And those water issues are primarily the cause for bar odors, flies, degradation of bar equipment and bar dye. Also, health violations.
So what we're talking about in this scenario is water standing on the floor. And Don, you touched on it in the last episode just a little bit, and that is oftentimes you'll find you've got a lot of equipment behind the bar that simply can't be moved for cleaning or can't be moved to remove some of the water that may be standing underneath it. So what's ultimately needed in those scenarios are some casters for some of that equipment. Get it up off the floor, get it under some or on top of some wheels so that some of that stuff can be moved out for proper cleaning. Another important consideration in making improvements in a bar is let's take a look at the equipment behind the bar. I have so many times seen bars that have equipment that's broken or no longer used. You know, it's time to get rid of the old and bring in some new. If you've got worn out 3-compartment sinks that are dripping on the floor or drains that are not working properly, all kinds of things like that that lead to water on the floor.
Well, you and I have both been in bars where they've got a small beer mug chiller that doesn't work, and inside you'll find all the bar staff's purses and backpacks.
Drink straws.
Not going to be very productive. Standing water on the floors causes all kinds of problems, as we talked about, and what we commonly call fruit flies, generally known as was it black-headed and red-eyed, or red-eyed and black-headed flies. They're little tiny flies. Both of those kinds of flies are very prevalent there. And one of them flies a little better than the other, but neither one are very good at flying. So a floor fan will help remove some of the water from the floor just from evaporation, but it also keeps the fruit flies from repopulating because they can't get through that airstream. They aren't good enough flyers, and they get blown around all over the place. They can't get to where they need to get to either feed or to repopulate. You also have problems with floor drains being in the wrong place, or they don't capture what's coming down, and you have a line coming off of a jockey box or a beer keg cooler, and it winds all over the place, and the PVC is broken, and now it's draining back there somewhere else. So the bar floor drains are not in the right place. You may find that a trench drain will solve that problem that you can get at, not deep underneath the bar equipment, but right at the edge of it, so you can get at it to clean it, and that also gets rid of the food for the fruit flies if you do clean that out of the way. Proper wall and bar floor seal is the last major area that I want to discuss, and that is that if you've got quarry tile, base tile up against the bar dye wall, which we discussed in the previous episode, they need to have the membrane behind it and all that taken care of to keep the water from going through that particular bar dye and possibly out underneath the guest feet, also rotting the wall away. You also need it on all the other walls at the bar. And if you have equipment that's up on a curb, let's say a back bar refrigerator, or if it has a beer tower on it and the drainage is not well doing the right thing, you can't have that drainage go down, get on the curb, and then run into the wall itself and just totally contaminate that wall, and you'll have all kinds of problems. You'll even see it if it's on an outside wall. It'll come out the outside wall and be messing up your paint job and your flower beds outside as well. So keeping control of your wall integrity is critical.
Well, and I want to footnote on something you said. You used the word trench drain, trench or trough drain. If you're going to replace smaller drains with a more effective trough drain or trench drain, whatever you want to call it, tomato, it's a great time to not only just install that trench or trough drain, but it's also a great time to reslope the contour of the floor leading to that drain. That makes it much more effective. So that same mentality of let's consider resloping some of the floor also applies to the walkthrough where the bartenders come in and out of the bar back area. I've seen too many locations where the bar floor is elevated to the point that any water standing on the floor ultimately finds its way onto the front of the house floor, the guest side of the bar area. And if there's carpet there, it's going to lead to dirty carpet very quickly. If it's a smooth finished floor, it's going to lead to potential slip and falls and things like that. So highly recommend, if we're looking at the floor and looking at ways of making improvements, you may want to recontour and slope that floor so that you can contain any spills that are in the service side of the bar within that space. As long as you're doing that, one more opportunity for improvement is floor cleanouts. That's floor drain cleanouts. Cleanouts are often placed with ill thought in advance in some of the worst locations where they're hard to get to, which means they're not used regularly, which leads to more problems with water on the floor in a bar. So if you're looking at reconfiguring and improving your bar, consider your bar cleanouts as well, and whether or not those can be moved to a more usable location. And as long as we're working on the bar cleanouts, let's go ahead and check those traps in all the drains behind the bar. A lot of these older restaurants have cast iron pipes, and we all know what happens to cast iron after 30 or 40 years.
Or even 10, especially if you have a lot of carbonated beverages or other acid beverages. It'll eat the bottom right out of that cast iron. If you've ever seen it, it looks like a pipe that the bottom's just been cut out by a torch. And it'll be about that wide of a trough where there's no pipe at all.
And it always fails on a Friday night.
Yeah, and Mother's Day weekend as well. Some of the things you can think of that aren't too difficult are you oftentimes have trash cans that are in the way. And they need the trash cans. But you might actually find that making some custom smaller stainless steel containers that'll fit under sinks and things like that, that'll be as much area for trash, but it's just wider and lower, will be more effective for you. You might be looking at a small remodel, so be certain you include trash cans in that whole plan. You also have to have a place for bus tubs. If you're serving appetizers or even full meals at the bar, you're not carrying a bunch of dishes back to the dish ring while you have a full bar. If you have one or two guests at the bar, yes, you're going to do it. But you got to have a place to put a bus tub full, and then you'll take them all back at once, or you'll have somebody help you with that. Get some liquor storage and some bar storage close to the bar if you're going to do a very small remodel. There's always some corner that you can take. I have seen linen closets stuffed with linen right next to the bar where they needed some liquor storage. Share. Take some of the linen out, put it somewhere else, keep some of the linen there that you need, and then put some of your liquor and other items for the bar close to the bar. Ice machines, if you can at all make it so your ice machines are close enough to the bar so they can restock easily, it will make it a lot easier and safer, because otherwise they won't be overloading their buckets and spilling ice for a long distance away for one of your staff or guests to put a foot on that ice, and well, we know what happens when that happens.
Another challenge we talked about in bar issues was the beer tap system itself being located on the front bar. There's a tremendous opportunity to improve the satisfaction from the guest experience perspective by getting that thing off the front bar, either on a bar back or on an island. We've had some great successes doing that over time. Another challenge we identified in the first episode was the to-go station being positioned at the bar and in the way of everything else that a bar is supposed to be doing. Consider whether or not there may be a more appropriate place for that to-go pickup area other than the end of the bar.
Guests oftentimes have complained, as we noted before, that the TVs are in a position where they can't see them easily, or there's a light shining right in front of the TV, which just blanks out part of the screen and makes it hard for them to watch their favorite athletic event or whatever is on the TV. Repositioning the TV to a place that is comfortable for both the staff and the guests is not a very difficult thing to do. And it also, in some cases, will give you some better display area for your premium liquors.
Bar Solutions, thank you for joining us today. I'm Ron.
And I'm Don.
We'd also like to thank our sponsor, RIFMA. Thank you.
Thank you.